Good morning, everybody. Hey, good morning, Chrissy. I see you're already in here. Good morning. Let me, fix myself up a little bit here. How's everybody doing this morning? I'm going to wait a little bit, wait for people to chime in. Oh, I got two people in here. Who do I have with me this morning? It's coffee chat time, but it is so hot and oppressive outside that I'm in the kitchen today and I made myself an iced tea instead of coffee because I had coffee this morning at 6:30, but I just don't think I can handle anything hot right now. So I see that Chrissy chimed in earlier at 9:52. I don't know if she's still here. It's hard to know who's here. I don't know who's here unless you say something. So make sure you say hello. Hit the thumbs up button, either on your way in or on your way out. Either way, doesn't matter to me. Oh, look, I lost one of you. Oh, well. So it is a very, very stifling, oppressive, hot morning here in Iowa this morning. I was up and out the door at about 6:30, so I could take care of all of the chickens. Everybody's been fed. Everybody has fresh water. I was going to water the garden, but I watered it very, very well yesterday, so I'm going to leave it today, then do a little bit of a catch up tomorrow. Um, but I have a story to tell you later about when I was in the garden this morning. Um, it's kind of scary when things happen when you're here all by yourself. But something happened this morning. I thought, my gosh, I could be like laying in that garden for hours and nobody would find me. So I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But how's everybody else doing this morning? I see a couple of people are starting to come in. We usually have between maybe 14 and 20 people that join me for coffee when I have my morning coffees. But I don't know if you're here unless you chime in. And I brought everything I need today. I brought my glasses because, oh gosh, they're dirty though. I need to clean them. Not only do they make me look smart, it's my artificial intelligence, but it helps me read the comments. Good morning. Let's see. Coffee Angel Crafts. Lynette, correct? Good morning, Lynette. Let me clean my glasses off here. How is everybody doing this morning? I'm not wearing anything cotton today, so when I try to wipe the glasses off, it's just going to smear it more. That's not too bad. I can handle that. Um, so, how are you doing this morning, Lynette? How's the weather where you are? Is it hot, or are you guys going to be okay in your neck of the woods today? Let me know. So, as I said, I got up early this morning. I started getting everything ready, and it's just such an oppressive heat out there. I did what I could, and I started to come back in. I collected all of the cucumbers for today. I figured if I cut the cucumbers, it will take that stress off of the plant. And then I'll be making pickles later with those. I need to start making dill pickles. I've made so many bread and butter pickles that now I need to start making dill pickles. But as I was getting everything ready to come into the house, I saw green beans. And I've had little teeny, teeny, tiny little green beans out there. But this time I noticed that I had some that had matured enough that they were ready to be picked. And they were, if you've seen my garden, I have a hoop. I have a cattle panel that hoops over, and I have the green beans growing up and over. Good morning, Denise. How are you? So I've got these green beans that grow up and over. And way in the back, I saw some green beans. I thought I'm going to go back there and go pick those green beans. Just a handful, but we'll get them off of the vines and we'll see what I want to do with them. And so I go back there and they came off easily and I picked a whole bunch of them. And as I'm walking back out, there was this tendril for the green beans that had gone up and over, but it had swooped down and I had unhooked it from a flower. It had gone out and wrapped around the zinnias. And so I unwrapped it and I kind of put it off to the side. And as I was walking back out, it wrapped around my neck. And I don't know if this is going to show, but there's this line. I don't know if you can see this line. It's not a fat fold line. There's this line across my neck right here, and it's kind of red. Let me know if you can see it. As I'm walking out, that tendril for that green bean plant wrapped around my neck. And I felt it wrap around my neck. And I thought, you got it doing well already in the AC. Good, Lynette. I thought, oh, I'll just keep walking, no big deal. So I kept going. But the vine, the tendril for that green bean, has these little grabby little hairs in it. And it grabbed into my neck. And as I walked forward, it pulled me back. And because I thought I'll just keep walking, and I had enough velocity going forward that it just stopped me and kind of jerked me back a little bit. And then I had like an allergic reaction to it. And I had this red line across my neck, but it jerked me so far back that I thought, man, if I would have fallen backwards, I would have been laying out there for a long time before anybody found me. What if it would have choked me? And I was just discussing with my friend Debbie, it's like, what if it's like Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors? And what if one of these days I walk into the garden and I never come out because it just completely encapsulates me, and it loves me so much because it thinks I'm food. And this is an all-you-can-eat buffet. You planted the same kind of beans, Denise, that I did this year. I did the Kentucky Wonder Pole beans, and they're growing like crazy. And they're so beautiful. They have these beautiful little blossoms. I took some pictures of the little flowers, and I thought, if people saw the beautiful little flowers that bloom when the green beans are formed, I think they would appreciate green beans so much more. I know that every time I eat a green bean now, I'm just going to think of those pretty little flowers and appreciate it all the more, except for the fact that it tried to kill me today. So, Denise, have you ever planted the Kentucky pole beans before? Have you had experience with those, or only bush beans? I did bush beans last year and enjoyed them. And then I did the Kentucky pole beans this year. And I've had one person say, oh, they don't like the Kentucky pole beans because they're rough. They're a tougher bean. And I thought, oh gosh, I hope I didn't put all of this time and effort into a bean that's not going to be very good. My plan for these beans is I want to do some dilly beans with them. When I do my pickles, I'm going to have some leftover brine. I'm hoping I'll have enough brine to do some dilly beans. And then I'm just going to do some pressure canning, just quarts of green beans. I'm just going to have cut green beans. So you haven't done them either. Okay. Yeah, you thought of Little Shop of Horrors too, Lynette? Such a great show. Such a great movie. First time, Denise. Well, we'll both see how they turn out. I'm going to pressure can the majority of them. Last year, I froze them. I blanched them, and then I froze them. And then when I cook them up, I saute them. And that's usually the way I've been serving them. So, but this year, I'm going to put them in my pressure canner in quarts and see what I get. And then once we eat them throughout the winter, that will determine whether or not I'm going to do the pole beans again, or whether I'm going to do the bush beans. And I solely did the pole beans so they would grow up and over that cattle panel trellis and look pretty. My kitchen, my summer kitchen, is so shaded from those plants, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, it's kind of shading my tomatoes too, so my tomatoes have not blushed up yet. Still waiting for my tomatoes to ripen. Bush beans comes in cans. Those types do. And as a matter of fact, I am going to be taking some white navy beans and making a bush bean recipe and canning some of my own bush beans that are the barbecue beans. I'll be doing those later. It's far too hot right now. That was your plan too, Denise. I have mine on a cattle panel. Isn't cattle panel gardening so wonderful? I have two of them now out in the garden. One has the cucumbers growing up and over. I'm sorry, ladies, hairball. I have the cucumbers growing up and over, and I'm going to be having a video about those cucumbers and my chickens. I'll be posting that either today or tomorrow. And then I have the green beans growing up and over the others. And at the end of the green beans, I planted two cherry tomatoes. And the green beans are carrying the cherry tomatoes up. And matter of fact, the green beans have grown up the string all the way to the eave of the roof of the summer kitchen, and it's taking the cherry tomatoes up there. I don't know how I'm going to pick them. I don't know how I'm going to pick all those beans on that trellis. I think I'm going to be not in a world of hurt, but it's going to be a challenge for me to get the beans this year. I only planted, I believe, 2 or 3 beans per panel. Far too many. I could have done fine with one. I should have just been one. Hi, Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. Good morning, Michael at the Green Acre. Michael at the Green Acre, if you have not had the chance to visit his channel, you need to go visit Michael at the Green Acre. Subscribe if you like. He's just got this great little family. He's got some great things going on at his acreage, and he has big news. He got picked up by a company this week that has one of his videos on their front page of their business. And so when you visit their business, his video is there to tell you about the product that they have, which is just amazing. It's an amazing video. Very nice young man and his wife and their 2 children. They're living the dream on one little acre, and he's making so much of that acre. And I really, truly enjoy his cinematography. I don't know what camera he uses, and I'm sure he and I have discussed it before, but he's got great music. He's got great cinematography. And that doesn't mean a hill of beans unless you have a great eye, and he has a great eye. So I really enjoy his videos. So check those out. Hello, Lisa at Yogi Hollow Farm. You can't chat because you're at work. I know it's so hard to always find a perfect time for everybody, but I do appreciate you chiming in. And I know you'll be playing at work. And if I say something funny, just don't chortle out loud. Uh-oh, easy there, Alicia. What did I do? You're welcome, Michael. Yogi has a great, Lisa over at Yogi Hollow Farm, she has a great little channel too. And she's raising Kune pigs. And they always have a lot of neat little adventures. And if I wanted to get more pigs, I might get a little Kune because I just think they're so adorable. Oh, coughing. Yeah, I know. The minute I get up and go outside, I'll tell you, I have asthma, and I'm not working on 2 full lungs. I've got scar tissue in one of my lungs. And so when I go outside and that oppressive heat hits, it's almost like I can just feel my asthma hit. So I have to kind of stay where it's cool and the air conditioning takes the moisture out of the air. But man, it just sets me up for a coffee day. Not coffee, coughing. Hey, Adam at Like a Bully. Daz is here from Australia. Look at this. We're multi-continental this morning for our little chat. I was telling everybody early, it's too hot here for coffee, so I grabbed iced tea. Does anybody recognize this beautiful cut crystal mug that I'm having my iced tea out of this morning? There's a story behind this. It's in one of my videos that I did before. I was going to sell these because they're so heavy and I really wasn't using them very much. We've been using our mason jars, and I thought, I'm going to put these up for sale at a local the local sales sites on Facebook. Hi, Chrissy. Good morning. Good morning, Andale. Claps to all that just came in. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And look at that. Daz is already sharing links. I appreciate that, Daz. Thank you so much. Everybody, you're going to love Daz if you haven't been over to Daz. Oh, he's a former chef, lives in Australia. Kangaroos come up in his yard. He's got just a really great presence about him. He's very calming. Really enjoy his channel. So this is almost going to be like a channel shout out instead of a coffee chat. But anyways, so back to these mugs. So I had put these mugs, and they're expensive mugs, but they're heavy. And I just I wasn't enjoying the heaviness of the mug, especially after chemo, because I had that weak sense, I was weakened. So I had put all of the heavy things away. I'd put all my heavy dishes away or got rid of them and got things that were light and easy for me to manage. And I just hadn't been using these. They were taking up drawer space. I thought I'm just going to sell them. So I put them on a sale site, and I was only asking $15 for the set of 4, which, stuff like this costs much more than that. These are good ones. These are not like knockoff Wally World ones or anything. These are the really good ones. And I had this man say, hey, I really like those mugs. I would like to use them for adult-sized root beer floats. And I said, perfect. He says, how many ounces do they hold? I said, let me check. And I figured it out for him. And I think they were 16 ounce. I don't know. And he says, great. I'd love to get them. I said, awesome. I'm porch pickup. They're here when you're ready. He goes, well, will you take $10 for them? No, 15's fine. He says, well, driving out to your farm's a long way, and I'm going to have to spend my gas to get there. It's like, buddy, do you want them or not? He goes, will you drive into town and meet me halfway? No, I'm not going to drive 20 miles round trip to deliver something that you want to buy. If you want it, come get them. He says, well, if I drive all the way out to your farm, I'm only going to pay you $10. So I just took him down off the sales site. I put him back in my summer kitchen so I can have root beer floats in them. And to you, mister, don't talk me down on my stuff. And he's like, I collect things like this all the time. And I can tell you right now, I can go to the store, I can go to Goodwill and get them for $1 a piece. Be my guest. Be my guest, but I'm not going to come down on the price. I am going to thoroughly enjoy them. So I went out to the summer kitchen this morning and I brought one in and I rinsed it out. And I thought I'm going to have my iced tea this morning during my coffee chat. And I'm just going to kind of to the guy who wanted to chew me down on that price and talk me down to $10 and think that I'd just be so happy to take his $10 and, kiss him on the butt on the way out the door too. Yes, hit the like button, like button, guys. Yeah, you love buyers like that. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I don't like doing it to other people. There are things that I have purchased in town for $5. And I've never once said, will you come down in price because I have to drive into town? Will you take $2? Can you deliver it to me out here at my farm? I've never done that. If it's something I want, I will pay the $5. I will go into town and I will get it. And I remember one time I had an item for $2. I'd put a bunch of stuff up and it was like porch pickup here on the farm, got a whole bunch of stuff. I had a really cute little kitchen sign or something for $2. And this lady says, oh, I really like it. Can you deliver that to me? It's like, I'm not driving 20 miles to deliver you something for $2. I'm not even going to meet you halfway for that. If you want it, come get it. That's right. I'm going to enjoy my mugs while I have them somewhere packed away from our move that we still haven't unpacked boxes from when we moved out here is a beautiful ice bucket. And as soon as I find the ice bucket, I'll use the ice bucket out there too. So I made sun tea and I thought I would just bring my sun tea along and have breakfast with you guys, have some iced tea, not breakfast. Yeah, Daz, don't knock yourself out, man. Everybody appreciates you, but don't put so many links up that you're not enjoying the conversation. Make sure you participate and take some time to just relax. I have become a moderator for one of the larger channels that many of us here follow, and I end up with a headache from all of the moderation and posting links and everything. All right, Michael, you're off to your meeting. Appreciate it. So flour, eggs, and yeast, if you'll remind me what your name is, if you don't mind sharing. People are terrible. We know now to add at least 25% to any sales price before posting anything because you'll end up getting the real price you want. Sometimes I've done that. This time I just thought 15. I thought people would at least appreciate it, but one of those things. You have a doctor's appointment. Oh, I asked you for your name and out you go. Well, thank you for showing up, Flowers, Eggs, and Yeast. No. Teresa is on. My husband is Cam. Oh, Teresa, you're online right now. Your husband is Cam. There's Boots and Bounty. They write all these things down so they can remember. And so I've got a notepad. I thought maybe I would start remembering that to do that because sometimes I just don't like feeling it's impersonal to call out your channel every time when I can say, hey, Teresa, how you doing? So I've got that written down. And if I forget, because I will, then, we'll go from there. You need a notepad, Chrissy? I know. I've got one right here because I actually wrote down some of the things I was going to talk about today because when I follow other lives, they have things in their conversation that make me go, ooh, I need to tell that story. And so thank you, Teresa. We'll see you soon, okay? Also, I read the title before it started as Coffee Chat with Courtney. I was like, wait, that's not her name. No, but I was to be a Molly. And I don't know if we've discussed that before, but my mother wanted to name me after my great-grandmother, Mary Frances. And Mary Frances was always called Molly. One of these days I've got her picture on a plate upstairs. One of these days I'll bring that down. And my dad said, that sounds too Catholic. He wasn't fond of it being Mary Frances being too much of a Catholic sounding name. He was not Catholic. And but my mom was like, but we'll call her Molly. And he was, no. So they ended up naming me Alicia. And when I was 12, I met his girlfriend in Monterrey, Mexico, Alicia. So I don't know if that had anything to do with the choosing of my name, and somehow I ended up being named after his girlfriend that he had in Mexico before he met my mother, or my mother claims it was a song, and I've never been able to find the lyrics of the song that she says she heard that made me have this name. You have a Molly? I think I would have been a fun Molly. I would have been a really fun Molly. Alicia is an okay name. I love it. I appreciate my mother for giving it to me. And but you get funny pronunciations, you get funny nicknames made up about you, like, oh, I got my dog Alicia, or oh, I had a teacher in high school that used to call me Alicious. It was really gross. And then Alicia, really? Nobody would have done that with Molly. Yeah, like a leash on a dog. Our baby girl who passed away was Molly Grace. I'm sorry to hear that, Daz. I will remember her in my prayers every time I think about how I almost became a Molly. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, named after an old girlfriend. It's quite interesting. I met her when I was 12. So, and Adam, you have a Molly as well? Is that what I'm reading right? That you had a Molly too? Or have a Molly? Not much to say about Adam. Anyway, so that's how I came up with this name. But I really, every once in a while, I think, oh man, I would have been a really fun Molly. I would have been that friend in school that would have just gotten you in trouble all the time because of the shenanigans. And okay, the name didn't stop me. If my friend Debbie chimes in, she'll tell you that wouldn't have stopped me. I'm still that way, anyways. Hello, Finding Happiness. Oh, worst things to be named after. It's true. I guess that's true. There are words. Okay, so I have to say it, even if my sister chimes in. So Molly was from Mary Frances, which was my great grandmother. Now I am thankful that I was not named after her daughter, my grandmother, Gertrude. I don't think I could have handled being named Gertrude. Um, I might have gone by Gertie. However, I'm thankful to the stars above and all that is holy that I was not named after my dad's mother, not my father's mother. I have a biological father and a father who raised me, but Mabel. I'm so thankful I was not named Mabel. Because it is a very outdated name, but Mabel was such a mean person. She was so mean. She was not a loving grandma. She was always, doing this because letting you know that she was going to come over and whoop you. And she just wasn't a very nice lady. But my sister got Mabel for a middle name. So she got stuck with that. I dodged that bullet. Boy, did I dodge that bullet. You can call me Allie. I go by Allie. Um, I go by Allie a lot. And when I was in California, and even when I started my crochet business, it was called Alley Cat. I've been called Alley Cat since I was, oh, I don't know, 9 years old. I've been called Alley Cat. And I was a tomboy growing up, so I was called Tomcat for a while. And sometimes I'm just called Cat. You love older names. I love some older names. Here's the thing, because we're just really going to be talking about names this morning, huh? You can go to court and change your name. If my mother would have named me Gertrude for her mother, because I know how much she loved her mother and I know how much I loved my mother, I probably wouldn't have done that because it would have meant so much to my mother. So I wouldn't have changed my name. And my mother has a unique name. So we all have unique names, I guess. I didn't meet another Alicia until I was, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old. It was a very rare name. You go to Disneyland and there would never be anything that had your name on it. And now you're starting to find it. So that's okay. But, I was going to go somewhere with the whole name thing. Oh, typing on a keyboard at work. anytime I type my name when I would sign on an email or something, I would always, sometimes I would miss the CALICIA and I would hit the V. And I thought, oh, my mother should have named me Olivia with an A. Olivia with an A, I think would have been really neat. ALIVIA, Olivia. I would have gone with that. That would have been my ads. Short nicknames for everything that we have. Natalie, Virginia. That's a beautiful name. Yeah, Gertrude Francis was my grandmother's name. Now, my mother's name was Artis, ARDYCE. And I've only met one other artist. True story. My mother was in the hospital. She was very ill. And so they had her name and her date of birth on that thing when you walk in. And in the very next room was another artist, ARDYCE, with the same birthday, not the year, but the same day of birth. I'd never seen that before. I thought that was so crazy. So that was the first time I didn't meet her. But I've seen Ardith, but never Ardis. But my mother's middle name is Azalea, like azalea the flower, but pronounced Azalea. So I have a granddaughter that we passed that on to. We don't want to know Chrissy's nicknames. So finding happiness said he wanted to have something that he was connected to. Although he loves his family, he just didn't think the name fit anymore. That was kind of deal with it. Debbie Parker, she does have all sorts of names. Hello, Debbie. Your oldest son changed his name. Oh, he changed his entire name. Wow. That's a little excessive much. Your sister has Mabel for a middle name too? Lynette, my sister's name is Mary Lee Mabel. And Mary Lee is one word. And so we would see Mary Lee Mabel set the table just as fast as you are able. Always something to tease her about. But Debbie Parker's in here now. She is my friend who can attest that whether I was named Alicia or Molly, I was the one that would get you in trouble at school just because of shenanigans. You had a daughter that passed away a couple years ago. She loved her name and her little nicknames I gave her. You know, you called your son Bubs. I have a son, Joshua, and I call him Joshy Bug. He's my Joshy Bug. I call him Joshy Bugs all the time. Good morning, Brenda Baker. So I thought, there's just different things about names. I have a blog that I write, and I haven't written in a long time, but I had started this blog in about 2010, I think. And I have an entire blog about the history of names and how names are derived and put together and how they come about and the history of how things were changed. How we went from John to Jack and how we went from like Jack to Jackie and all of these different things and how you would have little suffixes put at the end of names as terms of endearment and how all of these names just kind of changed throughout history. And after all of my research, I determined that Winnie the Pooh, his real name is Winston Thaddeus Poohcock. So if you get the chance, I'll have to see if I can put some links up to my blog so you can read some of the stories, because there are some funny things that I came out with about just different names. And one of them is even Michael Jackson's son. His name is Blanky. So I do the whole thing about how we derived everything to come up with Blanky. So that's kind of a fun story that I wrote up one time. So just so that you know, and Daz, I'm going to ask Daz a question right now. Daz, during our first few coffee chats, we had Alex come in. Alex was from Great Britain and not feeling too well. And the last time that I saw that we had Alex in our chat, I know that you and her were going to exchange some contact information at our first chat and talk racing and all kinds of stuff. But it's very hard, just so that all of you know, it's very difficult for me to try to interact and read what's happening in the chat on the side. And I had noticed that Alex had said that she felt like she was talking to herself because I wasn't catching everything she was saying. And I'm afraid she may have gotten her feelings hurt, and I haven't seen her since. So, Daz, if you're in contact with Alex, let her know that we miss her here. We would love for her to chime back in and watch now her being here, and I haven't even seen it. That'll probably even make her feel worse. Um, yeah, Adam, stay cool. Keep your animals cool. I just did that video yesterday on freezing the water bottles to keep the rabbits cool. I know you guys are going to be hot and humid down there today, like we are here. We're expecting a heat index of 112 today. So that's why I got out, got everything done early. I've got my water bottles frozen. At the heat of the day, around 1 o'clock, I'll be going out and putting some water bottles in with the chickens so they can lay up against the water bottles if they need to. You haven't heard from her. Okay. Oh, well, maybe she's upset with me. I'll have to message her and see if we can get Alex to come back. It's not anything personal. It's just sometimes the chat goes by so fast and I miss things, and especially since I don't have my artificial intelligence on my face right now. Cha Cha Love, good morning. I see you're in here. Granny Marino's in here. Good morning. Yeah, high heat index, Adam. Take care of yourself, okay? Take care of the animals. Take care of yourself. But I was telling everybody earlier, if you could see this line across my neck, I was out in the garden this morning to try to get everything done in the garden earlier, and a vine from the green beans wrapped around my neck and kind of choked me. So I've got a line on there. So my friend said, your chickens and everything, they're not worth your life. Make sure you stay out of the heat. I know you love your chickens, but it's not worth you dying over. And it's like today, the chickens aren't the problem. Today, it's the garden that tried to kill me. Yeah, you can't respond to everybody. It's just hard to see everything. So I have noticed that there are some chats like Biddy Boo. Biddy Boo doesn't talk too much back and forth. She just mostly goes off of her chats, and she lets you guys all just like talk amongst yourselves. And she kind of sits back and chimes in when she feels the need to. Where I'm trying to actually carry on full conversation with you and then checking. So I think I'll find my niche as I go. But I do know that even when I'm in other chats, there's just a lot of sidebar conversations that don't even involve who's talking right here. And maybe I just need to let you guys just do your own thing. She was fine with you after it was explained about chat going fast. All good. Okay, as long as Alex is fine. I was worried about hurting her feelings. That's my main thing. Um, and I'm also worried about her health a little bit. So as long as everything is good there, we're good. Oh, Michael's back from the Green Acre. Okay, so Um, I don't know if you guys were in my chat a while back where I told you about the shark story about being this potential shark attack victim. But apparently, over at Boots and Bounty, they just loved that story and they refer to it and they tell it all the time. And they were on vacation last week and they were out at the ocean and they had gone out onto a sandbar and talked their daughter into walking out onto this sandbar with them. And something brushed her leg. She completely freaked out because this fish brushed her leg and they had been talking about this shark attack story. And so they were laughing and laughing, and she was all freaked out about how she was a potential fish attack victim. And on the beach, he said very loudly, gosh, you were almost a potential shark attack victim. And I guess everybody on the beach just stopped at the word shark. And he's like, oh, I guess this is probably not the best place. Oh, Louie has showed up. Louie, stop. Um, you see him flying around? Louie has joined the conversation. For those of you who don't know, Louie is a fly. He shows up every time we go live. Sometimes he acts inappropriately, exposes himself on camera. It's a whole story. You had to have been there. I think Cha Cha and I would be a force to be reckoned with if we were ever in public together, because I think we would get in a lot of trouble in a good way. Yeah, it's like saying bomb on a plane or saying fire in a movie theater. He said shark and he realized he needed to not say that. So now she's calling herself a potential fish attack victim. And so when they were talking, it's like, oh, I need to remind myself to tell this story and that story because I said, oh, it reminds me about the grasshopper. And oh, they said, oh, I need to know about that grasshopper. And I don't know what was happening in Southern California about 10 years ago when we lived out there, but there were all of these like locusts and they were huge. They were huge. They were huge. I was walking from work one day. I was at work and I was walking across the parking lot with a coworker. And this locust just like flew at me and just like landed on my face. And I was thrashing and I was hitting and I was trying to talk, knock it off. And it just like the beans, like the bean vine. It had these little sticker things on its legs, and it was just it was stuck to me, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was screaming. I was traumatized. Gosh darn it, Louie. I was traumatized to the point where they started making fun of me at work about the locusts and the grasshoppers and stuff. And so when they were talking about that potential fish attack story, it reminded me of that. I know Louie he's really full of it this morning, isn't he? Trouble is your middle and last name. Cheers. Cha-cha love. Be a bodyguard. I know I'm sitting here slapping myself in the face. It's got to be amusing for some of you. I'm sure some of you would appreciate that. What did they sound like? The locusts and stuff. Now we don't have the katydids here or the ones that come out every 17 years. We don't have those here this year. But in California, it was just almost just like this just constant hum, and they were flying on everything and landing on your cars, and it was just a creepy thing for me. But just to have that one just like attack you, it's not like it was just flying and it came for me. It full on attacked me in the face. So I was traumatized by that. But then it reminded me about this one story that I share every once in a while. When the boys were little, and we lived in this little 2-bedroom rental, this older home in Southern California. I remember I'd gotten done with the day. I had taken my shower, and I thought I'm just going to slip into my robe and just relax. And relaxing is not something that is easily done when you have 4 boys under the age of 8 and a fly named Louie. And so I don't know where my robe was, but I grabbed my husband's robe, and it had been hanging in the closet. He's not a robe guy. But it's one I'd gotten him for Christmas, and it was just kind of hanging there. The locust got your name in the drawing. Cicadas, that's the name I was looking for. Anyway, so I grab his robe out of the closet, and as I'm walking into the living room, I slide my first arm into the robe because I'm kind of walking and talking at the same time. Thank God I wasn't chewing bubble gum because it would have been a tragedy. But I put my arm through, and as I put my arm through and I look at my hand, there was this very fine, Louis, stop. There was this very fine layer of silk over my entire hand as I slipped my arm through. And I was standing in front of the couch, and my husband's sitting on the couch. And I remember looking at this very fine layer of what appeared to be white silk. And I thought, that is really weird. And I looked over at my husband, and he's sitting on the couch, and his eyes were this big around. He's just frozen, and his eyes are like this. And all he says, he goes, "Don't move." And I start getting the heebie-jeebies, and I'm like, freaking, don't tell somebody don't move. And out of the corner of my eye, because I've still got my arm extended, was a wolf spider, and it was about that big, and it's just perched on my shoulder. He had built this web in the arm of that robe, and I just slid my arm right through, and he ran out and was sitting on my shoulder. And I stood as still as I could, and he jumped up and he knocked it off and he killed it. And then I really got the heebie-jeebies, and I got out of the robe, and I was running around in hysterics. I had to call my mother. I was traumatized for days over that spider. And I called my mother crying, "Louie, what is with you today?" You know what? Let me bring out the heavy artillery for Louie. But I was so traumatized over that spider. I would tell that story for years. I told that story about just how freaked out I was about that spider. Ugh. Hello, Grizzly Exotics. Yes, I remember you came on over. You were my number 400. I did run. Right, Louis in for it now. I did run, Brenda. I ran laps in that house, all freaked out about that spider. I don't like to kill them. I don't like to hurt them, but I don't want them crawling on me. I've been bitten by a few. They're not venomous, but they leave you a nasty bite. Those wolf spiders do. But I noticed in my tomatillos today, there's like an orb spider. Louis, you're on my last nerve. I didn't kill him. I just slapped that down hard. You love my storytelling? Granny Marino, thank you. That's kind of... So I ran without a robe. I ran without a robe. I don't think I was I naked? I don't think I was naked. I just think I had a nightgown on and then I was going to put the robe on because it was chilly. That's what we'll go with that. We don't want to worry about all the jibbly bits, you know. So I've had my moments though. I'm not going to lie. I've had my moments. Now see that right there, Cha-Cha. Were you naked? And then me going, I don't know. That's where the rumors start. And then they make their rumor circles. And then before you know it, oh, the stories that go around. I've had so many times that an innocent story gets started and then it just grows. And then before you know it, it comes back full circle and you're like, wait, what? What happened? Oh, gosh. I've had so many moments like that. I'm the type of person where if something gets misconstrued, I generally don't correct it. I generally will run with it. And if Debbie Parker is still in here, she knows this. She had come out last year. God, Louis, stop. Watch, it's going to land on my arm. Now he won't do it. It's like an obstinate child. I was bagging up my flour into 3-cup bundles for when I make my artisan bread. And so I had all kinds of bags of flour on my center countertop here, my kitchen island. And of course, there's flour everywhere. So just as a joke, we lined up all of our bundles. We took some flour and we cut it into little lines and we posed with it and sent a picture to her daughter. And we said, yeah, we're packaging up that Iowa nose candy. And her daughter was just like, Mother, what are you doing? She thought it was serious. Now, most people would be like, it's a joke, but I'm still rolling with it. I'm still talking about the Iowa nose candy and kind of joking about it. And someday it's going to go full circle in our family and friends. And as it comes back around about my drug problem, when I don't have a drug problem, it's just flour to make my artisan bread. But that's the way things go. And I kind of just laugh and go with it because that just adds to my stories. That's what makes some of them interesting. And I mean, I don't know how one time one thing got started where I had a friend come over to the house when Jim and I were very early in our marriage. And my husband worked for a company and I haven't read chat in forever. So I don't know what you guys are saying. Don't be talking about my nose candy. My husband worked for this company that every holiday, they would just give you a bottle of wine. Everybody came home with a bottle of wine. So my husband was always bringing home these bottles of wine and we didn't drink wine. So they just went up on top of the fridge. And I had met this lady at church and developed a friendship with her. And she came over one day and she walked into the kitchen. She's like, oh my God. I was like, what? She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. What? She goes, how can you have all of those bottles of wine in the house with your husband's drinking problem? What? My husband has a drinking problem? This is news to me. She goes, oh, I heard all about it in church. What? I don't even know where that one started. But she was just adamant that the whole church knew that my husband had a drinking problem. And she was really concerned about going to my house and finding all of that wine up on the fridge. And it's like, if he had a drinking problem, the wine wouldn't be on the fridge. The wine would be in his belly and the bottles would be in the trash. None of them are open. They're just sitting there collecting dust because we're really not drinkers. And it took me forever to convince her of that. And I bet you the rumor's still going. Ah, good day, Daz. Good day, good day. We all love Daz. Oh, Chacha, love, I love you. Long time. Buenos noches. So, and then Davis Family Life is chiming in from Jamaica, and I don't even have to explain. I'm not even going to have to explain to Davis Family Life. See, Debbie Parker, who went to the same church, she didn't know he had a drinking problem. But Debbie, it was Janine who thought that Jim had a terrible drinking problem when she first met us. Yeah. So over at Davis Family Life, and I cannot remember your first name. It's going to take me a while. If you say it, I'll write it down. We went to Jamaica, and we went to Negril. And there are only a few resorts to go to in Negril. And so I will just say to the Davis Family Life, we did not go to Sandals. And then things just went from there. That's all I need to say. And Davis family will know. The rumors. Kareen. I'm going to write it down. I will forget it by tomorrow. Kareen, without saying anything, do you know what I'm talking about? The zoo. The only drinking problem my husband has is when the bottle is empty, and that is absolutely right. Kareen quite literally got quite the education that week in Jamaica. But I love Jamaica. We loved it so much while we were there. My husband said, he says, I'm willing to give up everything and move here. I'm sure they need a good mechanic here. And we inquired, and let's just say it just didn't work. But I would love to go back and visit someday. Really loved it. Loved the people and the atmosphere. I didn't care for the afternoon monsoons. But I will tell you, when you are 18 degrees from the equator, it is ill-advised to snorkel in a bay using like a floaty to float on, and then you've got your face in the water, and I was just floating. Skinny dipping. So as Chacha said earlier, this time, yes, I was naked. So I'm on this floaty, and my face is snorkeling, but my backside's up out of the water, and it's bobbing like an apple, see, in that very intense sun. And I only snorkeled for maybe 30 to 45 minutes. But my bum was horribly burnt because it had never really seen the sun. And I've got quite the area to cover there, and the sun hit it all, let me tell you. Debbie says, yeah, right. I'm not so sure you know where you went in Jamaica. In Jamaica, we took this 2-hour bus ride to get to the resort where we stayed, and it was hot and sweltering and very monsoonish, and we're sweating, but we're so happy to be there. And we get to our destination. They said, would you like something to drink? And we're like, yes, please. So I'm thinking they're going to bring us a tropical punch, or they're going to bring us a soda or an iced tea, but they brought us some Jamaican rum punch. And so we had our first rum punch there. Oh, it's an event. You know it, Kareem. It's an event. Hot buns. Oh, they were so burnt. I couldn't sit. I won't go into too many details. Anyways, but oh, the stories I have some really funny stories from there. But what was I saying? Oh, so at this place where we stayed, it was all inclusive. So all of our food was included, all of our beverages were included. And they had this bar with all of the pictures all the way around this big circle bar of whatever you wanted to drink. And you would just walk up and point to a picture and they would make the drink for you. So it all started with the rum punch. So we had the rum punch. And even when we went on a catamaran cruise, it was rum punch. Everything was rum punch in Jamaica. Oh, so good. But the first day that we imbibed all of this rum punch, and to us, it's a sweet fruity drink. So it's like you don't really realize how much alcohol you're getting with it. And my husband and his drinking problem. And so we're drinking our rum punch and we're running around this resort and checking everything out and just beautiful water. Just everything was so beautiful in Jamaica. And we woke up the next morning and we were so sick. We were so hungover and just didn't feel good. And we went to breakfast. We went to got an omelet bar. They had a full spread for breakfast, but we went up to the omelet bar and we're like this. We're standing in line like this. And somebody asked if we were okay, and we're like, man, we're hungover just from the rum punch. And this is where the first time we ever heard the expression, you need to have the hair of the dog that bit you. And we were like, what? What do you mean? They said, you have to drink some alcohol, whatever you had last, just drink that, and that'll kind of pull you over that. Right. Was I in the mobile sauna? Isn't Jamaica, entire Jamaica is a mobile sauna? Oh, the plane ride home. Yeah, I was pretty darn burnt. When we flew out, and I'll get back to that other story if I can remember what it was. What was I talking about? Oh, dog with the hair that bit you. When we flew out, I wore this proper dress and was all proper. And on the way back, it was like, I just threw on a bikini and a pair of shorts and let's just go home. And I'm hot and I'm sunburnt and I'm tired and let's just get on the plane. But yes, Jamaican rum. Oh my goodness. Rum punch will do that to you. I've never had it. My father-in-law makes a mean one. It'll knock your socks off. This knocked my socks off. And I see that Chrissy is leaving. Bye, Chipotle. Bye, Chipotle. Bye, Chipotle, Chrissy. So before we had our omelet, we went over to the bar and we had some more rum punch. And boy, did that just light our fire. And we were off and running for day 2. And we were there 7 days in Jamaica. And all 7 days was just a constant rum punch run. We did all kinds of stuff, the snorkeling and a trip out to Rick's on the tip of the island at Negril, on the other side of Negril, and all these fun things. But man, we were toasted on rum punch the entire time. So but then when you come home, then the rumors start. Put some on. Socks. Yeah, Cha-Cha, put some socks on before you have the rum punch. Then you can say you had your socks knocked off. So here now we've talked about our drinking problem in Negril and our nose candy problem in Iowa. And this is how the rumors start. And my friend Debbie, who's on here, she'll nip that stuff in the bud. But me, I run with it. I let the stories grow. And I just have fun with it because life's too short to not have fun with stuff like that. So, oh gosh, I was going to tell you something else about Jamaica. Jamaica was just so much fun. So much fun. So, Karine, I love Jamaica. Would love to come back someday. Maybe this time go to a different side of the island and experience something different. But oh gosh, guys, if you ever get the chance to go to Jamaica, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. The people are so welcoming and beautiful. And I loved when I went down. I'm going to give you a tip. If you ever go to another country on a trip, this is what we did. I took 2 suitcases with me, but before I went, I loaded up one suitcase with all kinds of fun school supplies. and school supplies, dental supplies, things that are needed by some of the local people there that work at the resorts and everything. And so we took down a whole thing of just really fun school supplies, and we were able to take them to some of the schools. And it's so neat because all of the children have their little school uniforms. They dress in their really cute school uniform, and they're just so adorable and loving. And oh gosh, I just loved it there. And so we took all of our school supplies down and everything. Portland, life is short, live it up. Absolutely. Your mom's been to Jamaica 5 times, mostly in her younger years. She loves it there. You know better than to give you information. Yeah, because boy, the stories will grow. Um, and then I had an empty suitcase to buy my stuff at the markets, to buy my trinkets, all the little things I wanted to bring back. I had an empty suitcase to bring it back. So that is a really neat thing to do if you're going to other places. And just do a little research before you go and see what the needs are of the local communities where you're going to be visiting. You know, every place where you go, where there are the touristy places and the resorts, you know, you have the outer lying villages too, and you only sometimes get to see the touristy part, but you have your outer lying villages, and there's always something you can take. Kids always need school supplies. um, we just took some things for the general health of people in the villages that needed it, and we just loved it. We loved it there. It is a really neat thing. We did it when we went to Cozumel, Mexico. We did that as well. You know, we stayed at a beautiful all inclusive resort. It was gorgeous. Then when you leave it, you go over. No, we stayed in Playa del Carmen, and then we went over to Cozumel. And Cozumel is beautiful right on the riverfront. But then when you get into the inner parts of the villages, there are needs. And I think one of the guys we were with took his shoes off and gave his shoes to somebody. There's always something, and that it's even true here in the States. Wherever you go, there are needs. Wherever you're going to travel to, find out what the needs are. If you're going to be traveling and you can take a suitcase with you and it's included in your fare, load it up with, I don't know, top ramen and crackers, and take it to a food bank when you get there. There are people, there are concierges at your resorts that can make sure that it gets distributed where it needs to go. So um, someday maybe I will make it back to Jamaica. And Korean, if I do, I'll look you up and we'll get together and we'll have a rum punch. Just one. You do that on cruises too, because the workers have to buy their own and they aren't always happy to get it. Oh, don't think I didn't load it up with rum. Matter of fact, I still have some rum cream in the closet, and it's been several years since we went. I haven't opened it. We went there to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, so some things I brought back as little touristy little keepsake things. So I've got some rum cream in there that I haven't even opened yet. But uh, we had some really neat experiences there. Oh, you're not going to imbibe, huh? You'll have yours without the rum. Always try to help local communities any way you can. Really neat thing happened here where we live, in this little community where we live, which I had never experienced when we lived in Southern California. Um, this is the second year in a row. I shouldn't say in a row because, well, no, we did it last year too because we didn't stop the school year to the middle. Um, I don't know. I can't remember what's happened with everything with school on and school off. But this is the second time that I know of that our school district has sent out a notice to everybody, to all the parents, saying, you know what? We've got all of your school supplies this year. You don't need to shop for anything for your kids this year for school supplies. We have everything, everything. So usually you have the school supply list. You have to go to the store and you get everything on the school supply list, and the kids have to have that on their first day. And I know that when I worked at a school in Southern California, we had a school supply list. And on that school supply list, we even had to ask for 2 boxes of Kleenex because the kids were going through some Kleenex and we didn't have a budget for Kleenex. And the parents were a little upset about that. But This one here in this little community I live in, we've got it all covered. The only thing your children need to bring on the first day of school is a backpack to put it in and a smile. And oh my gosh, that is so wonderful that my grandchildren that live here, that's all they have to worry about their first day of school. The parents don't have to worry about buying all the stuff and the mad dash to the store to try to get certain markers and certain pens and certain color this and certain erasers and paper. It's all taken care of for them. All they have to do is get a backpack and show up with a smile. And I absolutely love that. What's going on with Hedgehog? Notice that Dixie Chicks challenge you to Uncle Ed's crazy cook-off. Hedgehog, only you're at 96. Let's see if we can get you to 100 today. If you guys haven't been over to Hedgehog's Homestead, sweet little homestead channel, see if you can go over there. Show them some love. If you watch a video or two of theirs later and you think that you really like the content, leave a comment on a couple of videos. Otherwise, YouTube takes the sub away. They take your subscription away because they think you're a robot. And it's very disheartening for young channels, including myself, when somebody subscribes and then YouTube takes them away. And then the subscriber doesn't know that they've been taken away much of the time. So unless they're very, very invested in your channel, they don't even know they've been unsubbed. They don't realize they're not seeing your videos because they're not getting any notifications and they're not there and they're not subbed anymore. And I know I have sub channels where it's like, ooh, I really like that Blueberry Lemon Homestead. I like that channel, and I'll subscribe and I'll comment, but YouTube will take me away or something. And then I forgot the name of the channel I subbed to. So I don't even know who I've subbed to and who they've taken away from. But first channel where you've seen colors the other way around. I don't know why YouTube does that. And we've got the Hedgehog link up, so that's awesome. This is the first channel where I have seen our colors turned the other way around. I'm not going to put too much thought into it. Anyways, speaking of subs, I had a long time goal of when I reached 400 subs, I was going to design my logo. So this week, one sub by one sub by one sub, I finally hit 400, and I didn't get too excited because I know YouTube likes to take them away. And then I got to 401 and then 402. And last I checked this morning, it was at 403. I don't know if anybody can check to see where I'm currently at or if they took any away, but at 403. So this week I've started kind of dabbling with some ideas for my logos. Thank you, Michael. So I've shared on a little Instagram group that I'm in, just kind of my initial concept of what I want to do for a logo. And what I'm going to do with this logo is, I don't know if it will become the banner on my YouTube channel. I don't know. And this is probably more for me than anybody else, but it's just kind of one of those things where you hit the milestone and maybe, I don't know, a pat on my own back to myself for kind of branching out and coming onto YouTube, making videos, putting myself out there. Because, it's not, you can't be everybody's friend and you can't please everybody. So every once in a while, somebody will give you a thumb down or say something ornery. And, you put yourself out there. You subject yourself to some ornery stuff sometimes. But I think depending on how you handle it, if you have the coping skills and the tools that you need to move forward and get past that, and then pepper it maybe with a little bit of, passive aggressiveness like I tend to do, you'll be okay. So I told myself at 400, I was going to make my logo. And so not only will I sometimes use it on my channel, and maybe when you see a thing come up for coffee chat time, it'll have my logo there, but I'm going to make coffee cups. And that way, when we get together for coffee chats, I will have my Country Mama Musings coffee cup. And then I'll also make it available where if you want one, you can get one, but there won't be any pressure. But I will have coffee cups available, and I will have t-shirts available for Country Mama Musings. And I don't know, I want to make them fun. Daz has reached out and graciously has offered to assist me with that logo. He has some great computer skills. So I have thanked him for that. And I've just kind of set that right over here because I'm going to talk to my son and see if I can have some family involvement in that first. I don't know if he's going to have time. He's a teacher, and I don't know if he's going to have time to do that. And so if he doesn't have the time to help me with it, I may pull Daz back over and say, okay, Daz, this is the craziness I'm thinking. See if you can help me make it. Hello, hello. Do a logo contest if you want. James does some good logos. I might do a logo contest. I had shared with a few people kind of what I wanted in a logo. And then it's kind of like, it's like when you go to the all you can eat buffet and your plate is this big and then you just start piling it all on. And I want this and I want that and I want this. And so by the time I got done explaining to everybody in the Instagram group what I wanted, it's like, how are you ever going to fit that on a t-shirt or a coffee mug? Oh my gosh. Oh, do we have Garden State Gardener? Hey, Garden State Gardener. Hey, everybody. Say hi to Garden State Gardener. Send up some love and positive thoughts for his son, Joey, who just had surgery. I think he's come home from the hospital yesterday or today. Great kid. Loves jelly beans. We love seeing him in his videos, and just some thoughts and prayers for him as he's circumventing some more medical issues. Hey, well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So let me give you an idea. Let me give you an idea of where I'm going with it. I love my little bandanas. And before I moved to Iowa in Southern California, I dressed pinup and rockabilly every day for work. Even though I worked at a school, it was just kind of my thing. And the reason I did that, you see how I always kind of go squirrel and I go off on little tangents. I have struggled with my weight much of my life and much of my adult life. Well, okay, yeah, when I was a kid too. Anyways, I never really found like my style, my niche. And one day I was watching The Voice, and this girl walked out. She was going to be a contestant on The Voice, or I think she'd already been selected and she was coming out to sing her song. Plus size gal, dressed 1940s pinup with a flower in her hair. And she said she had never gotten anywhere in her career because people always judged her on her size and never listened to her voice. And that's what The Voice is about. And she walked out there and sang so beautifully. And it was amazing to me because when I looked at her, I didn't say, ooh, look at that fat lady singing, like most people tend to do. I was like, dang. She is dressed so cute. She's a plus size girl, but she is adorable. Why can't I do that? So I thought, why can't I do that? I'm going to do that. So I started learning how to put my hair up in victory rolls. I would dress up as Rosie Riveter. I had skirts with cherries on them. I wore little sweater sets. I had cute little wingtip shoes. Every day I would do my hair. I would do really thick eyeliner with the little wingtips on it. I dressed up pinup every day. And it kind of became me. And I felt more comfortable than I had in years. I loved it. And I started seeing the effects of it when I would go out in public. And I remember one day in Southern California, I was at an In-N-Out Burger, and I know exactly what I had on. I had on a really cute full 1950s skirt. I didn't have the crinoline underneath. I didn't have anything to poof it out, but I had this really cute skirt, and it was white with cherries all over it. And I had on a cute little lime green sweater set that pulled out the color of green that was in the leaves. And I had my hair done up in victory rolls, and I had my red lipstick and my eyeliner on and everything. And I was just standing there. I was going to order something. And these little girls came up. They were about 10 years old. And they just looked up at me and they said, we really love your skirt and we really love your hair. And it was genuine. They weren't making fun of me. And I grew up my life a lot of my childhood and adolescence, people made fun of me for different reasons. And for those of you who have experienced it, you know that pain in your heart when you know somebody's making fun of you. They're being facetious in their compliments, but this was genuine. And it's like, you know what? This is the look for me, and I love it. So my logo, I really want it to be something Rosie Riveter or, rockabilly. I used to dress rockabilly and Rosie Riveter. And there were times where I would do my Betty Bangs for Betty Page, and I just loved it. Now, when I moved out here to Iowa, I still was dressing that way, loving it. But when I moved here, I was told, moving to a small community in the Midwest, you're probably really going to run into some problems. People aren't going to be as accepting. So maybe tone it down a little. So I toned it down a little, and then I moved onto the farm. It's like the chickens don't care if I do victory rolls. I got more important things to do, than roll my hair every night and put victory rolls in. But I did curl my hair for you guys this morning. Look how quickly that color came out. Remember, I only did my hair a few weeks ago, and it's all come out. I need to re-dye it. So types of logos. I've never seen you finding happiness in all you do. Oh yeah, go check out Finding Happiness in All You Do. Inspirational story. And just so that you know you're beautiful too. Thank you. Inside comes out. Grateful to call you a friend. Well, thank you, Michael. Same here. I was talking to Jim about you last night. I was all excited about your Grub Terra thing. I was just raving about you to my my husband and my son, and we played your videos. And I said, just such a great content channel and great family. So my logo. So now that I gave you the history about why I kind of dressed up the way I dressed up, and I loved it so much, and I'm coming back to it since I've started my channel. Here's my idea for my logo. Rosie Riveter, you know how she's doing this? I want a chicken sitting on the bicep holding an egg. Under this arm, a pig with the bandana. In the background, a silhouette of the barn with my barn quilt that I'm painting, that Chrissy from Along the River Homestead won that contest. And like Jim, the silhouette of Papa Jim on a tractor and a windmill. I want all that. Wouldn't that be insane? Oh, and the state of Iowa, because I'm from Iowa. I'll be on a silhouette of Iowa. So I know that's a lot, but I think eventually I'll be able to pick and choose. I kind of put one up on our Instagram page. It just kind of shows a little bit of a Rosie Riveter silhouette with a bandana, and I thought that was a really cute place to start. So things tend to grow and change. Tomorrow I might change my mind, but eventually it's going to turn into a logo that I'll be proud of, that represents me, that represents our farm, includes Papa Jim, and something that I don't mind running around wearing on a t-shirt or having on a coffee mug when we get together for coffee in the mornings. And then I'll make it available that if anybody wants to buy a coffee mug or buy a t-shirt, you can get one too. Thank you, Hedgehog. I appreciate that. Goodbye, Brenda. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you enjoyed yourself a little bit. And I'm hurting. Since I took that fall, I can't sit too long. My back hurts. It's like I got a compression thing going on. So yeah, I'll be working on my logo and getting some stuff out going there. So yeah, goodbye, Brenda. So what else? What else can we talk about? I don't know if Garden State Gardener's in here, but I watched something on his live the other day, and I thought, man, this was so great. It was a really great way to keep you guys interactive. So I'm going to do something. I have to write down 4 things. I'm going to do three things. We're going to do, who's leaving? Coffee Angel Craft? No, I think Coffee Angel Craft is saying goodbye to Brenda, I think. It has been great, Brenda. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. So here's something I want to throw at you. Garden State Gardener did this kind of like getting to know me thing. And he would put things up that would be multiple choice. So I want to throw a multiple choice thing out there for you. So I want you to tell me what you think is true about me, and I'm going to give you 3 options. A, I have my pilot's license. B, I'm a certified scuba diver. Or C, I am a marathon runner. A, B, or C? A, I have my pilot's license. B, I'm a certified scuba diver. Or C, I am a marathon competitor. I'm going to wait and see. Okay, B is the first answer that's come up. Waiting for some answers to come up, and then I'll tell you which one is true. Oh, come on. Michael's going to be the only one to guess. Come on, guys. I'm down to 9 people. I guess nobody wanted to play. Okay, so Kitchen Garden Therapy says C, marathon participant. Cha-Cha C, marathon participant. Andale says B, certified scuba diver. Daz says scuba diver for sure. Debbie says scuba diver. One more, and then I will reveal to you the answer. And then there's just this long pause because I can't get one more answer out of anybody. All right, I'm just going to go with it. So I do not have my pilot A. Now someone went. A was the pilot license. I do not have my pilot license. I have flown in planes, but I've never flown a plane. A couple of members of my family have actively gone towards their pilot license, and I have had family members that have actually flown planes, but I have not. I've never flown a plane. I fly in planes. I used to, when I was 7 and this tall, I wanted to be a stewardess. I really thought that would have been neat to be a stewardess. But no, I do not have my pilot's license. And if truth be told, now I actually have a little bit of a fear of flying. So that is something that I tackle and battle with anytime I get on a plane. I do have a genuine fear of flying now. And that'll be another story for another day. I am also not a certified scuba diver. So even though I shared with you earlier that when I was snorkeling and I sunburned my bum, I am not a scuba diver. My husband really wanted us to become certified, wanted us to go out and get our certification, but I get terribly, terribly seasick. I get really seasick. And I was really considering, even though breathing through a regulator and even breathing through a snorkel makes me a little bit claustrophobic, I was considering it because part of the certification when we lived in Southern California was you had to do part of your certification by walking into the ocean from the beach and doing a lot of your schooling there. But then you also had to go out by Catalina and go off of a boat. And I knew that by the time I got out there on the boat with the rocking, I would be so sick there would be no way I could get in the water and actually participate in that. So if you guessed B, I am a marathon competitor, you would be right. Look at this athletic physique. But it is very true. In 1997, I competed and finished the LA Marathon, 26.2 miles. Next to childbirth, it was the most difficult thing I had ever done in my life. I think I might even put it up there. Well, no, I've been saying that for a long time. Okay, childbirth, chemo, and then maybe the LA Marathon. Because I'm so social. I did train. I'm not a runner. I have asthma, but I knew that I was going to walk the marathon, and I did it as a fundraiser, raised money for a local organization where I lived called The Center, and The stood for Therapy for Handicapable Equestrians. And it was a center that I had long volunteered at, and they would actually do therapy with children on horseback. So helping children with their balance, different things for children who had physical disabilities. They would work with these children. So I did this as a fundraiser and raised money for them. So I would tell people, hey, I'm doing the LA Marathon, and they would, give me $20, and it all went to them. So I trained, I really did. My training was in short spurts though. So, maybe 5 miles here, 10 miles there, run, walk, everything was great. Well, one thing I didn't know, because I didn't actually train with anybody who knew anything about marathons, that was one of my first mistakes was I wore the same shoes that I trained in to compete in the marathon. And if somebody had been able to guide me, they would have said, after 26.2 miles, partway through, your feet are going to start to swell and your shoes are going to be too small. And that became very evident. But anyways, problem number 2 is I'm so social. I am such a social person that when the gun went off to start, I'm taking pictures with people. I took pictures with a guy who was dressed up like Darth Vader. I took pictures with a guy who ran the entire marathon in a robe and bunny slippers. Cha-Cha, I don't know if he was naked underneath the robe. I stopped and had my pictures taken with the police department. I stopped and had my pictures taken with a bunch of firefighters. I stopped and had my picture taken with a bunch of nuns. So it took me a long time to even get to mile 1, because I was just like everywhere taking pictures and talking to people and having a good time and walking. And then I would run a block, and then I would walk, and then I would run a block, and everybody's giving you stuff while you're in the marathon. And so I would stop and have orange slices with people, and I would stop and have a drink. And there was a Hungarian restaurant, and they brought out little desserts, and I'd stop and have desserts. And so needless to say, I did not finish with a good time. On my marker, because I was just having so much fun. But I did finish. It was well after dark when I finished, and we started about 8 in the morning. And I had gotten to the point after so long, they closed the streets off to run the marathon. And I will tell you, one of the highlights of that entire LA marathon was when we got to the intersection of Florence and Normandy in downtown LA. And for anybody who remembers the scuffle that broke out after the Rodney King verdict and everything that happened at Florence and Normandy with the truck driver and all that, it was so wonderful to be at that intersection and see every cross section of the culture across the world at that intersection, cheering you on, telling you you can do it, giving you thumbs up, bringing you water, bringing you orange slices, patting you on the back. There was no division. There was no fighting. There was nothing but just this wonderful sense of a community isn't even the word for it. And so being at that historic location and feeling all of that, that was one of the biggest things from participating in that LA marathon. But I had taken so long that they opened the streets back up. So then you have to be on the sidewalk. And so, now you're going down the dip of a driveway and up the dip of a driveway and down the dip. When you get to the intersection, you got to step down off the curb, cross the street, go back up the curb. And we went through Koreatown and Chinatown and all these little different subsets of downtown LA. And I drank it all in. I loved it. Got to Hollywood Boulevard, and I'm walking and I'm reading the stars that are on the Walk of Fame and taking pictures and talking to people. And around mile 20 is where I hit the wall. That's where you're just like, I don't think I can do anymore, but I pushed on. And it would get to where I would walk. I'm past running now. And the sun's starting to go down. But I would get to the edge of a sidewalk to where there was a street, and I would just look at the street and go, oh, crap. And I'd have to step gingerly down onto the street because my thighs are screaming. My thighs were all cramped up. And my feet are starting to hurt a little bit in my shoes. I'd cross the street and I'd get to the other curb and go, oh, crap. And I'd literally got to the point where I'd have to lift my leg up onto the sidewalk and hoist myself up and keep walking. And I did that for several miles after that, obviously 6.2. At one point, there was this woman who was down. She had taken her shoes off and she just had terrible blisters. And I gave her some moleskin. I had a fanny pack with all of my first aid stuff. Gave her some moleskin to fix up the back of her heels and help her get her shoes back on. And I walked with her for a while, but I knew I needed to finish. So I kind of left her behind. She said, go ahead and go. I don't know if I'm going to finish. And I said, okay. So I went on, went through MacArthur Park in the dark by myself because there was nobody with me. Everybody had already finished the race. And I got to the last block of my journey of 26.2 miles. And my support team, who had been waiting for hours for me, they join me and they start singing the theme song to Rocky. You know, get out of here, Louie. You weren't there with me that day. You don't get to be part of this story. So they're beside me and they're like, run, Alicia, you can do it. You can do this last block. And they're like, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm like going, and I'm crying and I'm running and my legs are jello. But I made it across the line. And I had to have help getting my shoes off when I was done. And as soon as they took my shoes off, my feet went and 4 toenails went blood blisters. My both big toes and both of my second toes were nothing but a blood blister, and my toenails popped off. If I would have had the shoes a half size bigger, I would have had room for the swelling. But oh my gosh, I just cried and cried, and they put the metal around my neck. And I thought, oh, this is so wonderful. And then I turned around as I'm feeling really awesome. And here are these police cars coming down the road with their lights going. Everybody's clapping. And it's the chick that I helped with her feet. She was the very last person to finish the marathon. Flowers, they brought her bouquets of flowers. She gets a police escort. I was like, dang it, I should not have left her behind. I should have stayed with her. I would have gotten a little bit more fanfare because that's kind of the person I am. Like, look at me. I thought, gosh darn it, I should have stayed with her. She got the last one. So there's a book that they send out to people who participate. And in my age group at the time, which would have been 25 to 35, for the females, it lists the rank of where you placed. But I'm not there because for some stupid reason, they had me listed in the men's group. So when you go to the men's group for finishing times and you find 25 to 35, if you go to the very last entry, the very last one, my name is there. It took me 10 hours and 4 minutes to complete 26.2 miles. But by golly, I tell you, I did it. I finished it. I did it. I have completed a marathon. Hedgehog, I'll tell you one of the, I haven't written your name down. Hedgehog's Homestead, can you remind me your name? You may have done it earlier and I didn't write it down. The one thing that, and I've got so many things that stick with me about this experience of running a marathon. The one thing that I remember the most was being so excited and kind of being towards the front of the line, knowing that I'm in the runner's ways, but I wanted to see FloJo did the starting gun. She started the marathon that year. Is it FloJo or her sister, Jackie? I don't know. One of the sisters. But the serious runners, not the ones who are going to compete to win, but the serious runners who want to get a good time or a good personal time, they have chafing points, right? Some of you may not know this. And maybe technology or the industry has gotten better. But they have chafing points. And some of the chafing points, and they're in their like tank tops. They run in tank tops and little shorts. But one of their chafing points is under their arms. So they like slather up with Vaseline under their arms at the beginning of the race. And then as they run by you and they shove you out of the way because they're trying to get the front line, they're like coating you with their sweat Vaseline. I remember going, it's awful. Oh, kitchen garden therapy. I've never participated in a marathon, but it sounds like a good experience. I know, dang it, I should have been last. Oh, Green Acre says, Michael says, what an amazing experience. Painful, but amazing memories. Our bodies and minds are capable of so much, eh? Yep. Amazing experience. You have run, unfortunately, but I enjoyed this very much. Anne says, take care. Wasn't one of the Williams sisters caught taking a taxi in the marathon? I'm sure I read that somewhere. I don't know, Daz, but I will tell you that year, the woman who was declared the winner for the women, I believe she was disqualified because when she was running on the sidewalk, she was running up the sidewalk this way, and then the course went this way. Well, on the corner here was a gas station, and she barely just kind of cut a little bit catty corner because there were people in her way at the corner. So she just barely shaved off a little bit at the gas station, and I think they took her medal away from her. I don't think she got to, she was the first one across, but I think they took it from her and gave it to somebody else. So, well, thank you for the pats on the backs for trying it and attempting it. I want to get our handicapped foster child into horse therapy. Hedgehog, check your local community, your Chamber of Commerce, or check just with maybe a physical therapist, any place in that area, they might have something available. It really was a great program where we were really, you can take a child who's nonverbal. I did a lot of work with cerebral palsy, and you take them out of the wheelchair that they're in and you place them on top of a horse. And of course, we had braces and straps to help them stay upright. The smiles on their faces is just, you can't put a price on it. You can't put a price on it. They loved being on horseback. And I loved working with that organization. And I worked with them, gosh, I had to quit because I was pregnant, and they were worried about my safety in case a horse, pulled the lead rope from me or something. And so I think I worked all the way up to like a 7th or 8th month of a pregnancy. And then it was after that pregnancy that I became involved with my community and then did the marathon and donated the money to them. So, but look with the Chamber of Commerce, look with some of your therapies there in your area and see if they know of a place that has equestrian therapy for special needs. It really is a great program. So I did see, okay, there's where I wanted to get back to. Green Acre ran cross country in his younger years. Most challenging thing you put yourself through. It does teach you that your limits are much further than what you can be. Michael, my son Jacob, big boy, 6'4", lumberjack type. In high school, I don't know what he was doing, but he was watching the track runners, and I guess he was laughing or something. And the coach came and grabbed him, and he said, "You can't run, but I bet you can throw." And he got put on the track team to do the shot put, and he did really well. He did shot put, and I forget what else, but here's this big, huge kid. He was on the track team. It was funny. He had a good time doing that. But I don't run. So it's like that t-shirt, if you ever see me running, there's something chasing me because I don't run. And somebody was sharing the other day, I think it was Boots and Bounty again. They said, I don't run. And if something's after us, I don't have to run fast. I just have to outrun you. So it is a safe bet that if you are anywhere with me, all you have to worry about is outrunning me or just push me down and you'll get away. Kitchen garden therapy, and I know somebody's probably said, you want to be like me when you grow up. Oh, thank you, Cha-Cha Love. Good morning, Suburban Homesteader. Good morning. Did my son play football? Not that son. My second boy played football. So he played high school football, and he broke his collarbone, so he was kind of sidelined for a little while there. The only thing I competed in was going up the highest mountain back home in Ukraine, which is 2 kilometers above sea level. I didn't win, but came 7th, but you finished. It wasn't official, just competing amongst the group. It's a personal victory. It is even if I wouldn't have gotten a medal, which I'm kind of glad I did because it's cool. I'm just proud of the fact that I finished. So be proud of the fact that you finished because I think that's awesome. And it brings me to another story. And I don't know if I'll share it today or another day. And I don't even know if I already shared it. I don't know. But it is one of my stories that's on my blog. So I like to pick out of the blog and sometimes share some of the stories that I've written so I can share them with you. Hey, Struggle and Strive. How are you doing? So I had one son play football. I had one son that was on track. My other son, he went to a charter school. So for his physical education and sports. They didn't have a sports program, but he did hiking, so he liked to do a lot of hiking and stuff. Daz is showing you how they unsubscribe you. He went over to Struggle and Strive and was unsubscribed. So, but let's see, how long have I been on? 1 hour and 34 minutes. So, my son that likes to hike, though, for PE, all he had to do was write down what he was doing for hiking. And so, when I was a little girl, we'll try to make this the last story. Homestead Hedgehog says, have to go through his therapist first and acquire that, and everything shut down. Oh, yeah. I don't know if they would be doing it with everything that's going on right now, but at least do your legwork and find out. Something you might also may be able to do is maybe they can put you in touch with somebody who has a nice little trustable pony that maybe you could just introduce your foster child to, and not actually ride, but at least get that familiarity so that they're not scared of a horse or a small pony. And then see if they do have a program that works with students or children with special needs, because you do have to have some equipment, especially if it's a taller horse. If it's a smaller pony and you can help the balance, that's something that is very easy to do. Struggle and Strive just got back from lunch. Oh no, you lost 10 last night. That's not good. So, so my son was really into hiking, and let me know if I've already shared this one. I think I might have. I don't know. But when I was little, growing up in this mountain community in Southern California, there was this ranger station at the very highest peak of the highest mountain up there, over a mile high. And the ranger station was so that the rangers could be there, and it was a lookout for firefighters. Did I already tell this one? Tell me. And so there was always this rumor growing up that if you hiked all the way up to the very, very top to the ranger station, you would be greeted by a ranger who would give you a certificate, saying that you made this trek. And I always wanted to do that. From like the time I was 8 years old, I wanted to do this, but I never got it done. And then I got married and I had kids and blah, 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 blah. But then my son gets into hiking. It's like, I think we're going to go hike that. So we set up the mountain one day. We were not on the mountain anymore. We were down in the valley, but we drove up the mountain to the start point and we started hiking the Switchback Trail. And I started getting sick. Terrible headache. Did not feel well. I was having to sit down every 10 or 15 feet. Something was wrong. I had not acclimated to the change in the elevation and just jumped right out and just started hiking. And I overtaxed my body. And so we stopped, went back down, got rehydrated, had lunch, went down off the hill and decided we would try it again. So we tried it a second time. And this time we went up earlier in the day, gave myself a few hours to get acclimated, made sure we had our camel packs on for water. We had our little nutrition bars. We'd gone to the sporting goods store. I had my little hiking sticks. We were going to make it this time. So we're hiking and I'm doing really good. I remember passing where I had stopped the last time. So that was a personal thumbs up for me, as I got past that point where I couldn't make it last time. And it's this switchback trail all the way up to the saddle of the mountain. And it would go over to this big, huge rock. And then the station would be on top of that. So my son, I'm going at my own pace. And my son, who's like 14, he wants to go at his pace. And so he would say, can I go to the end of this switchback and wait for you? And then when we would get there, he would go to the end of the next switchback and wait for us. And we're like, sure, go ahead. Bye, Lynette. Thank you. So yeah, go ahead. So we do this whole switchback game. And then we get to the saddle of the mountain. We're at the top. There's no more switchbacks. And he'd gone on ahead. And as we're walking, there's this group of Girl Scouts that come walking by. And one of the leaders says, are you Justin's mom? And we're like, Yeah, I'm Justin's mom. It's Justin's dad. He goes, oh, he's just up around the corner. He said if we saw you to tell you he's going to wait up around the corner for you. Okay. So we're walking and there's no kid. Can't find my kid anywhere. And there's a fork in the trail. And we don't know which way he's gone. We don't know what to do. But my kid's not there. So we go one direction and I'm calling him and there's no reply. And when we turned this way, the trail was very, very narrow with very steep drop-offs. And I'm starting to panic because not only am I getting a little bit of vertigo from the drop-off on this narrow trail, and the trail is, there's a lot of granite, slippery rocks. It's really not safe. And I'm calling and we don't hear him. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did he slip and fall? And he's laying at the bottom of a ravine with a broken neck and he can hear us, but he can't answer us. And so this is where my mind starts going as a mom. Some of you can relate to this. So my husband says, stay here. Or no. We only go so far and we don't find him. He doesn't answer. So we're thinking maybe it's the other trail. So we backtrack down the first trail and we get to that fork in the trail and we go down the other trail, which is part of the Pacific Crest. Pacific Crest? It's a famous trail. Somebody tell me if you know what it is. It's not the Pacific Crest Highway. It's the Pacific Crest Trail. So we start going down here and we're seeing markers that it's the Pacific Crest Trail and everything. And we're thinking maybe he went that way. And there's a lot of footprints because people have gone that way. It's a very good trail. But then we got to where there were no footprints. And it's like, well, he didn't come this way. He had to have gone the other way. So now my mind is, oh my gosh, what if a bear got him and drug him off into the woods? What if a mountain lion got him and drug him off into the woods? We had just, around that time, there was a family that had been camping in a nearby mountain and their 7-year-old was actually drug off by a mountain lion. It's like, I'm starting to panic. I'm starting to think the worst. Then I start thinking, what if he went down one trail and a petty, I don't know if I can even say the word, but what if somebody who really wanted to hurt him, who wanted to hurt small children, what if they said, hey, come this way and come with me? So my mind as a mom is just reeling and I'm just freaking out. I know my kid's in danger and I'm calling and I'm calling and I'm calling and he doesn't answer. So we get back to the fork in the trail. My husband says, sit here on this rock. And if you see him, just stay here. Okay. So he takes that original first trail and he goes all the way to the ranger station and there's no sign of our son. So now I'm really, really upset and there's no cell phone service and it's starting to get dark and we're up on this mountain range where it's going to get cold at night and we can't go down off the mountain range without our kid. And I'm freaking out. And my husband stands on a rock and he gets just to where he had one bar of signal and he calls 911. He says, we've lost our son. This is where we are. We're looking for him, but we can't find him and we need help. And then he lost the call and we could never get a call out again. That was it. So my husband, he says, stay here. I'm going to backtrack the original trail that we first came up where we saw the Girl Scout troops. I'm going to see if he's there somewhere. So now we did what we're not supposed to do. We separated. So now you have 3 individual hikers up on a mountain range. But I stayed and he took off. And I'm yelling and I'm yelling and I'm yelling for my son. And I have a whistle and I'm blowing SOS on my whistle. 3 shorts, 3 longs, 3 shorts. I'm blowing SOS. There's nobody else up there. There's no other hikers anywhere near us. But I'm blowing SOS. Then I see a helicopter circling overhead. And I'm like, thank God they've called out search and rescue. And I'm waving at them. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm thinking I need to start heading back and find my husband. So I start heading down the trail. At some point, my husband runs into some hikers who are at the saddle of the mountain. And they said, "Are you Justin's dad?" And he's like, "Yes." He goes, "Justin is at the beginning of the trail all the way down the hill with the sheriff's department, and they're waiting for you." He says, "The helicopters are out looking for you and your wife." So they had Justin, but search and rescue is looking for us. So they're looking for a man and a woman lost up on the mountain, but we had separated. So me going hi is not like, "Oh my God, help me." So they're looking for us. And they said, "Get down off the mountain." He's down there waiting for the sheriff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to be in so much trouble. And so I hike down as fast as I can. My husband's helping me hike down. And I think all told, my husband hiked 14 miles switchback and over that day. And I'd done about 9. And my son meets us at the first few switchbacks. And I grab him and I hug him and I'm crying. And I'm so thankful he's alive. And then I start yelling at him and shaking him and telling him, "If you ever do this to me again, I'll kill you. Get in the truck." So, and he's like, "What I do?" We jumped in the truck and we left before I even spoke to the sheriff, because I thought we were going to get charged for the cost of sending up the search and rescue helicopter. And so I just wanted to get in the car and leave, not thinking that they probably had our license plate number. And we never did get charged with anything. They were just happy everything was okay and everybody was okay. But when we get down, when we ran into some of the hikers and they were asking if we were Justin's family, where I was positioned when I was yelling for him carried down the mountain into the village. Everybody heard me. Everybody heard me yelling for Justin. Everybody heard me blowing the SOS signal. Everybody heard it. And that's why they knew that I was in trouble. And so we got in the truck and we were like, "What happened?" And he said, "Well, he waited at that rock and it took forever for us to show up. And at some point, somehow, when we zigged, he zagged. We never made up. And he was afraid that I had another issue with the blood pressure and the headaches and all this other stuff. So in a panic, he ran all the way back to the truck, down that switchback trail, thinking I was sick and had to be taken down off the mountain. And he's like, "Mom, I was so worried about you. And how can you be mad at a kid with tears in his eyes saying he was so worried about you?" And I'm crying going, "Oh my God, I thought a mountain lion ate you, or I thought a pedophile got you, or I thought a bear got you. I thought you broke your neck. I thought you were dead." But the funny thing is the search and rescue was looking for us. And I think back now, it's like, oh God. Hi, so stupid. Those helicopters flying low. And I mean, if they would have had a megaphone that would have said, if you're Alicia, we've got your son and everything's okay. But they didn't. They just kept circling over me. And I thought they were looking for my kid. And the more they circled, I continued to panic, because it's like they haven't found him yet. They're still up looking for him. They haven't found him yet. And, the sun's going down. Oh my gosh. So, but the whole thing about that story is, this is when it zagged. He had gone on, my son had been to the ranger station and we never showed up. So I think when he was coming back was when we went down the Pacific Crest Trail, and then he kept going and then we went back. So he had been to the ranger station. This was not his lifelong dream. It was my lifelong dream to make it to the ranger station. He'd been to the ranger station. My husband, who had gone ahead after we zigged and zagged, he made it to the ranger station. But we ended up going home, and I still had not made it to the ranger station. So we planned another trip, and this time we took a different trail. And we were determined that this time I was going to achieve my lifelong goal of reaching that ranger station and getting that beautiful certificate that showed my accomplishment. I was going to do it. So we packed a really nice lunch. We were well hydrated, took this trail called Devil's Slide, which is supposed to be a little bit easier on you. And we'd have gravel-covered, granite-covered switchbacks. And my son would say, "Mom, I could see the station from here. Just make it up this next switchback. We're almost there." And I'd get there, and of course he's lying. And he'd go to the next switchback, and, "Mom, I can see it." And he just goaded me and tricked me the whole way until I finally got to where we were at the ranger station. It was glorious. it was another time where I just felt like crying because I was so excited to finally be there. And we climb up the steps to the observation tower, and there's a ranger there with his California Ranger hat, everything. And this little lookout tower it's where he lives up there, and then they switch. But, it shows their observation thing with the binoculars. They can look at everything, and he's got a bed to sleep up there and everything. And I told him with tears in my eyes, I've wanted to do this since I was 8 years old. And I want my certificate. I've been waiting so many years for it. I'm so happy to get my certificate. I'm ready. And I'm thinking, la, this is going to be wonderful. So he pulls out his book. He has me sign the book officially that I made this journey and I was successful. And I'm so proud of myself. And then he gets out his little folder and he's writing. He writes my name down and everything. One of these days I'll have to find it. And he writes on something that is the size of a business card. It's green. It's the size of a business card. I'm expecting like an 8x10 frameable with the gold seal and the stamp and, something that I'm going to be so proud of, but it's the size of a business card. And when you read it, it says, "This hereby certifies that Alicia," insert last name here, "is now an official member of the Brotherhood of the Squirrels and has made it to the top of Talkwoods Peak." And it's got squirrels on it and a tree. It's very comical. And I'm like, I did all that for this? I did all that for, now I'm an official member of the Brotherhood of the Squirrels. And my husband just laughed because I'd made such a big deal about this for years. How old was I when we did that? I was in my 40s. Late 30s, early 40s. I've been talking about it since I was 8 years old. But I'm an official memberhood of the Brotherhood of the Squirrels. Oh my gosh. But it's another accomplishment, and I did it. I think that was a 9-hour hike that day up and back, and I survived the Devil's Slide. But I won't be doing it again. So I did it once, got it taken care of. That's good. Cha-Cha, I was scared, worried, cried, laughed, shaking my head good times. What were you scared at? Oh, I gave you anxiety. I'm sorry, Michael. As a parent, it's like when you lose your kid in the store. I mean, I was so worried about my boy. Because you hear it all the time. People getting lost when they hike and stuff. Pacific Crest Trail. Oh, you hiked it for 40 or for 50 miles? That's awesome. That is awesome. And true story, after that happened, what I don't get about being, oh, you guys are talking subs up that high. Who left me? Somebody said they had to run. Bye, Lisa at Yogi Hollow. What was funny was, not funny, but my sister, who still lives in California, her husband had taken their Boy Scout troop up there. And they went up in the wintertime. They had taken the tram out of Palm Springs and gone up to the highest peak up there. And then they hiked down into a small valley, and they were going to hike back up, take the tram back, and it was just supposed to be a day excursion, right? Or an overnight excursion or something. And so they were only planned for a certain amount of time, but being that they were Boy Scouts, they were prepared because they got lost. They got lost up there in the snow. And they had to hunker down with those kids overnight until search and rescue could get them out the next day. But they were prepared enough that they didn't have to worry about the elements, and they knew how to boil their water, to have something to drink and all this other stuff, where, we were just, I had a granola bar and a gallon of water on my back, and that was about it. And the night temperatures get so low, and we were just in shorts and stuff. I was so worried about my kid. So thankful, though, that we came out of there with a good story. So anywho, those are my stories for today. Oh no, Cha-Cha, you typed LMFAO on your work stuff. I love when people say things like that, like they'll say the SH word and they'll go, oh, didn't mean to do that because they're in public or something around kids. And I go, shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are the best thing ever on a pizza. Have you ever had it on a pizza? And they'll just look at me all confused. They're like, why are you talking about pizza? And it's like, shiitake mushrooms. And they're like, oh gosh, thank you so much for saving me on that one. Or somebody will say another word. I'll say, I know. I went over to the Hoover Dam on a trip that we took. Isn't that wonderful? And again, they'll look at me like, what? It's like, the Hoover Dam. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. I haven't come up with things for other things yet. My sister that lives out here, though, we went to the mall one time and somebody wrote in the dirt because we live on dirt roads, so the car's always covered in dirt. And they wrote the C word on the side of her car. I don't know why. I don't know who it was. And she was upset and she wiped it off. And I thought, man, that was a missed opportunity. You just turn the C into an A and put number 1. And then you could drive around as the number 1 aunt. And you can just say, hey, somebody wrote that on my car. And then my kids would be like, yeah, you are the number 1 aunt. She blew it. Anybody getting any work done? Hey, Blands, I was talking about you guys earlier. Also talking about Boots and Bounty. I don't know if they've had the chance to come in here. So, Daz got a DM. I thought you were asking me if I got a DM. And I was going to say, no, it didn't. But you're talking to Daz. So, anyways, guys, we're coming up on 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed the stories. They're true. I know I've had some people say, oh, she embellishes. I try to put a little spin, like being a potential shark attack victim. But really, there was a shark. I was in the water. It could have eaten me. I was scared. I ended up being on disability for 12 weeks because of it. Why not? But was I really scared that my kid had been drug off by a mountain lion that bit him around the head and drug him off to feed her kids? Yeah, I was. Was I worried that he'd fallen down and broken his neck and couldn't call to his mother to rescue him? Yeah, I was. So all of these stories, they're real. They're real, and I'll have more things to share with you. I look back sometimes and I realize, I do have a very plain, ordinary, blessed life, but they're peppered with some stories. My life is peppered with some stories that I love to share every once in a while. So I hope you enjoy them. So look at our comments, see if I'm missing anything here. Is that why your ears were burning? Do I have Erica? Do I have Eric or Monica on here? Suburban Homestead, thanks for joining me. To anybody who's still in here, if I missed a comment, if I've asked you a question and I missed something, then I'm sorry. You all know how sometimes the chat goes and you miss stuff and it's not intentional. It's just sometimes it's difficult to interact that way and share things with you. I do think I'm going to look into using the feature on StreamYard where maybe I can split the screen, have somebody join me. We can talk back and forth and have 2, 3, 4 people, and it'll kind of look like Hollywood Squares. We'll all share stories, and that way you don't have to type, you can talk, and we'll still have the chat going off to the side. So I think maybe that will be something that I will look into doing here in the very near future. Hello, Eric. Struggle and strive, love the story. Debbie says, trust me, she really, truly does all this crazy stuff. I do. Debbie knows. Debbie has known me since I was 8 years old, so she knows the stuff that happens raising these 4 boys and the things that I've done in my life. It's gospel truth. I just love to tell it the way I remember it. But I'll never forget having the helicopter go over me as I waved at them, thinking my child was still lost up on a mountain. Good Lord. So Debbie, do you remember all the hype when we were kids about making it up to the top of that mountain, about making it up to the top of Lily Rock? How, Eric, hopefully you'll be able to get to see it in a replay, or you could back up a little bit and see it. It's a story about the sheriff's search and rescue team and a couple of ill-fated hikes that we took and the humor in it and the I guess I stressed Cha-Cha out, so the stress of it, everything. But Debbie, do you remember? Remember how growing up on that mountain, we were always like, yeah, that's the thing to do, is to make it up to the top of that rock and visit the ranger station. Somewhere I've got a picture of that ranger, and somewhere I've got pictures. What's really neat about that ranger station, guys, is when you're standing at the ranger station and they're up there looking for fires, you can see from that ranger station, you can see the Pacific Ocean and you can see the Salton Sea. You can see the San Andreas Fault. I mean, you look down into this valley and you can actually see the San Andreas Fault as it runs across the desert valley along Palm Springs. So it's really neat. I think we counted 7, 8, 9 bodies of water while we were up there, and you look at the whole 360. But to actually be there and see the Pacific Ocean, the Salton Sea, and San Andreas Fault was amazing. Daz, I will pay you in smiles. Oh, too blessed to be stressed, and wine helps. Rum punch from Jamaica. That's the deal right there. That's the deal. You think my watch hours are going to skyrocket? Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Um, we discussed it before. I get happy when everything happens organically, as far as getting subs and then the watch hours. I don't want this to become a job. I just want it to just come together. I know, who was it? Boots and Bounty. They've got like 10,000 watch hours, but they don't have the subs. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't know where I'm at for hours. I'll have to check it again. I try not to check too much because I'm trying to not focus on the numbers. Just trying to focus on having fun. Jason, you're helping Daz get paid. Paying him in smiles, guys. Paying him in smiles. Daz is awesome. You guys are all awesome. So, all right. It is projected to be 112 here for the heat index today. I probably need to wrap things up with you guys. Go check on my chickens and my guinea, which are 2 boys, and they're starting to get this really weird looking ugly neck going. Daz. And you're welcome for the stories. I love telling them. Um, I'm going to go check on all of my little feathered friends and my piggy and put some fresh water in for my little donkey. And then I've got some errands to run. So thank you so much for spending your morning with me. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed spending the morning with me. And for Daz, probably the evening. I don't even know what time it is over there, Daz, but I so appreciate you being here. Um, and I'm really going to try to make it every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Whether I'm feeling good or not, I will chime in, even if it's just for a few minutes, because I had a couple people last week say, "Where were you? What happened? No live? What's going on?" So I realized that I need to check in even on days that I don't feel good. Debbie says she remembers the hike. She said she wasn't interested. She didn't like snakes. Too many hikes to the mailbox and getting lost in Joshua Tree. But you decide to do something, watch out, it gets done. That is true. That is true. Something about me, if I decide to do something, if I get something in this noggin that I'm going to do something, I do it. I don't hesitate very long before I decide I am going to do something. If I tell you I'm thinking about painting my kitchen, and you say, "I'm going to finish up my coffee and come over and I'll help you pick out a paint color," it's done by the time you get here. I've already run and grabbed some paint and started painting, and I'm waiting for lunch. So it's happened many, many times. Thank you, Michael, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Um, when people talk and they get that little thing in the corner of your mouth, just keeping it real. What can I say? But we will see you again here next Wednesday. I appreciate you guys so much. As always, the way I end every video, oh, wait, before I say that, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit the thumb on the way out. Make sure you hit the notification button where it says all, so you're always notified when I put up a video. And again, I will be posting a video either today or tomorrow about a scientific double-blind study that was done out here in the garden. You're not going to want to miss that. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye. Ending the broadcast.